Hello, everyone. My name is Bruno Herman. I'm the Vice Chairman of LT Innovate, and today I have the pleasure to talk to Lorcan Malone, new CEO of XTM. Hi, Lorcan. How are you?
Good, thanks, Bruno. Yeah, good to talk to you today, and thanks for giving me this time.
Yeah, thank you for being available for this conversation. XTM is a major player in the language technology space. It has been a pioneer in many ways in the past, and of course, XTM keeps innovating. And my first question to you would be regarding this sort of perspective of XTM, because during the conference last year, which was called Language Intelligence 2025, we could see many panelists and many speakers we invited describing their use cases as managing language intelligence as part of their global content or product operations.
Mhm.
The question for you is, for our audience, can you tell more about how XTM as a company helps connect the dots in supply chains to deliver multilingual content at scale? When I say connect the dots, I mean connecting people, processes, and technology in this ecosystem.
Yeah, no, thanks, Bruno. Yeah, that is, I suppose everybody has a different answer in terms of what language intelligence means and where to sit in that world.
Mhm.
For us, it's about orchestrating that supply chain. And it is a supply chain, and there's the content creation side of it, there's the product development side, there's the vendors, there's your internal people, there's your reviewers, there's the translators. So there's an entire type of ecosystem out there for all of this. And our job is to link it all together. And for our customers, it's about creating some predictability, some governance, some control and visibility of the entire process. And it is sophisticated. That's something that's really struck me since joining XTM. And I've talked to a lot of our large customers, and we serve some of the biggest localization departments in the world. And what they do is difficult. They have multiple sources of content from multiple systems, and they need to output it in many, many languages into multiple systems at the other end. And they need to do that in a predictable way with some governance and to a certain quality bar. And we view ourselves as the type of glue that puts it all together for them.
I think you use the right word, it's glue, and
Yeah.
orchestrate. You use two keywords because indeed, it's very important for most organizations, if not all organizations, to consider the management of their global products and their global content as part of a supply chain. I think many issues are coming from the fact that some operations are managed in a way that is too fragmented. And I think that considering orchestration and gluing what needs to be working together is very important. And since you mentioned, of course, that XTM is working with a number of large organizations and large departments of localization. We also heard last year that many organizations look at platforms that can be really integrated with their more or less unified ecosystem, because that's another reality. Some organizations have a complex ecosystem, some have a simple ecosystem, some have a unified ecosystem. There is a diversity of approaches in terms of implementing and managing ecosystems. So XTM shares that vision and the concept of ecosystem. How would you describe the main benefits and the potential challenges of dealing with or managing ecosystems? Because that's where the value is coming from.
Yeah, I think it starts with what these customers are trying to achieve. And it's very complex. And I think you have to embrace the complexity because it reflects their business. And the problem with a series of disconnected tools is it becomes very inefficient, and you lose the benefit of a type of coordinator or well orchestrated ecosystem. So you may have some very exciting tools out there, but if they don't play a part in a in a connected ecosystem, then you've got an issue. So when we talk about our own series of tools and our capability, we talk about composability, we talk about AI, and we talk about globalization platform. And composability for us is about recognizing that customers want the right to choose different products and different solutions in different places, but they need to stick together well. So whether you buy 2 products from XTM or 3 products from XTM, we want them to really integrate well, but we'll also integrate very well with products that are not XTM based, because we talk to CMS solutions, we talk to GitHub, we talk to MT engines, we talk to LLM engines, and those integrations need to be well thought out and resilient and consistent in their performance. So for us, that's about composability, and that's a key philosophy of XTM, and it was from the days of our founders established it that way, and to recognize that our customers are big and complex and have hard jobs to do, and we need to come back to a word we talked about earlier, orchestrate all of that for them and allow them to assemble that and manage it from one place.
Absolutely. And just to circle back on the conference, the Language Intelligence Conference last year, there was something else that came out of most sessions, most presentations, the critical balance between technology-driven automation on one side and human-enabled augmentation on the other side. Everybody wants now to reach that sweet spot between automation and augmentation. How does XTM enable its customers to strike this balance between automation and augmentation, between technology and humans? And the second question would be, should XTM be considered as a technology integrator or as a technology enabler, or both?
I definitely think we're both. We both integrate it and enable it. But something you said in the question is absolutely vital, in that it augments what humans do, but the human is always still in control. Even where you automate a lot, and there's such high expectations of what AI can achieve, and it is changing the world. Mm-hmm. But our philosophy is humans still control the outcome, and we allow them to do that. And you will see AI, and you've already seen AI, it will augment a lot of repetitive tasks. It will help streamline workflows. It's from an industry point of view, this industry has used AI for years. It wasn't necessarily called AI, but this industry has led the way in use of AI, and that continues with machine translation and now LLMs coming in there. And then we see it at the back end on the quality side. But in all cases, our philosophy is to enable our customers and users to be successful, but leave them in control. I think we're never going to. When I look at some of our customers who are really, really highly regulated, the governance, the compliance, the risk management that they go through will always mandate that ultimately customers and real users, humans, need to arbitrate at the final decision point.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And there is something that probably is now a challenge for every organization, which is that even the best technology in the world will not make any impact, and it will not make any difference if it is not operationalized effectively to create that value. So can you maybe share a couple of examples of how XTM contributes to the value created by its clients? Because I think that it's good for our audience to also, if you have some examples to share, to understand that value is not one thing. Of course, many people now with AI, they talk about value as productivity, speed, etc. That's true, of course, but value is much more than just speed and productivity.
Yeah, I, I've talked to a number of clients, and I think, Bruno, you mentioned a few there. There's always going to be cost efficiency. I think that, to me, that's more about productivity, nearly. That when you look at the predictions of the proliferation of content, Adobe talk about there's going to be 5 times more content produced because there's a huge amount of content being created through AI agents. The current model of localization, you can't spend 5 times more cost. So what we see is this drive towards productivity improvement. That doesn't mean you're replacing everybody in it, but if you use some of the tools really well, you can get a lot more productive. So, for example, we did a big deal last quarter where a customer took on some of our new AI capabilities, particularly around quality score.
Yeah.
And what that does is it arbitrates across a series of LLMs to give you a quality score on the translation. But coming back to what I said earlier about the human is always in control, you can decide on a score that's acceptable by language pair. So you might say for certain languages pairs, it has to be 100%, and for others, it might be 95% based on the risk profile that you assign. By doing that, that particular customer believes they can save 40 to 50% of the translation cost. Now, what that will allow them to do actually is do a huge amount of more content with the same resources they have. So it's a productivity play rather than necessarily a cost saving play. But they are real gains that we can track right through. So there's that element of value creation, and we see that in a number of customers. And there's a lot of demand for that sort of step change in productivity, which I think AI brings. But always still coming back to our earlier question, the human is in control. Mm-hmm. And then the other one is got a really interesting customer. Again, we have a video creation cloud. So video is obviously it's a massively growing sector in the localization space. Yeah. And this particular customer is a consumer goods manufacturer, and they want to get out training videos and product videos right across the world in a much more efficient way. And again, the world is moving so fast. What our platform allows them to do is localize video training material and product content on video in a very much automated way. And again, human in control, but it's time to market rather than necessarily cost savings, but it allows them to really get a material out to market really quickly. And we see that as well as a major driver for adopting some of these technologies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad you mentioned that, that increasing amount of content. And I heard, well, I'm still hearing these days the word content explosion. Yeah. Because that is a fact. That is indeed where, of course, the content industry and most product-oriented companies are going to. But at the same time, this is a big challenge because obviously the more you produce, the more you have to deal with, the more value you need to create with that. So you cannot just say, well, I do more, and more, but the value creation must follow that.
Yeah, and I think another opportunity, and we're seeing this emerge a bit, Bruno, and I'm sure you have as well, it's a little bit of customer expectation and the art of the possible. We're seeing more demand for more languages because I think as some of these new technologies come to bear, the LLMs can handle more and more languages, and there's more training of LLMs to do more language pairs. And I think it's an expectation of customers around the world to deal in their own language. So we're seeing customers come to us and talk about doing more languages than they have in the past to satisfy that need. So market demand. And I think, the bar for globalization is raising because these technologies have set expectations across the consumer base that they should deal in their own language. So there's some interesting dynamics that way as well that's creating some demand. So from a globalization point of view, deliver your experience in more languages right around the world.
You're absolutely right. I think that indeed the content explosion goes together with the number of languages that are required. Since, we are in the beginning of 2026, I know it's time for many people, to make predictions. What would be your bet or your guess about the shifts that may happen in the course of this new year? And also, how can suppliers of language technology solutions be even closer to their customers?
Yeah. I'll come back to the prediction bit. I'll give you my philosophy on building great product. I think I always like to build product in conjunction with a customer. And in that instance, you need a customer that is very innovative and is leading the industry themselves. So I look at our customers, and our customers are the best our localization shops in the world. They are leading the industry. They are in the science. They are experts in their field. So we have 2 design partnerships running at the moment with customers in different areas. And I'm over in the UK in a couple of weeks' time with one of those customers, where we're going to sit in a room with them for 2 days, and we're after doing a series of calls and look at this particular piece is centered around AI, how it's going to impact how they work in the future, and iterate through how we're going to design that and make it happen inside XTM. And I think there's so much excitement about things like AI out there. Everybody is trying to grapple as to what it can do for them in their day-to-day work. So we're going to sit down with this customer and build it into the system. And I think that will be really, really good. And that's top of almost like a leap in terms of the experience. And then there's another area where we're working with a customer on a particular feature that needs to be worked on, and it's down in the details of that feature. But my philosophy is I always like to build product in conjunction with a customer and iterate through it. And I think that works extremely well. But there's also areas where I think we have to lead the way. XDM is one of the leading localization platforms in the world. And I think, if I go back to the philosophy of our founders, they led the way. They thought about it and came out with something innovative. So on the prediction side, it's very much around the agentic experience, which everybody is talking about. But I think the way we all interact with a software solutions is going to dramatically change over the next couple of years, and that can be your HR solution, that can be your CRM, and I think localization is no different. So I can see a world, Bruno, where you have an XTM orchestration machine running in the background, but you may go into something like Slack or Teams and say, can you take my latest marketing campaign and translate it to the following 5 languages, and if it passes the quality test, go and publish it to our website. And that will be conversational English in Slack or Teams, which will, in the background, have an XDM orchestrate the entire thing. And XDM will talk to the various systems, and it will bring in human translators if they needed to, but through automated workflow, and deliver the result. And I think over the next couple of years, you're going to see a fundamental change in how people interact with systems, any system, and I include XDM in that. And we're getting ready for that. I'm sitting in Dublin. We've just had all our product leaders over for the last 2 days, and these are the type of conversations we've been having. There's going to be a leap in the type of experience that people expect over the next couple of years, and we need to be ready for it.
It was definitely a pleasure to have this conversation with you today, Lorcan. And of course, always a pleasure to talk about XTM. So yeah, I just have to thank you for your time, for sharing your insights, sharing your hopes. Thanks again, Lorcan. And I wish all the best to XTM and to your team.
No, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you next time you're in Dublin, and hopefully seeing you at your conference this year. I believe it's in November, so look forward to seeing you there.